In the middle of a burning battlefield, a human soldier stares in shock as an alien fox girl saves his life, then suddenly sinks her teeth into him. What follows is a tale of war, betrayal, and a bond neither of them can escape. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, drop a like if you love HFY Sci-Fi stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more of these epic tales to life. The night sky was burning. Flames licked the clouds as ships from the alien fleet rained fire on the ruined city. Sirens screamed in every corner, but no human soldier had the time to listen. The war had come without warning. One moment Earth was at peace, and the next, steel monsters descended from the stars, tearing apart buildings, hunting humans as if they were animals. Captain Elias Gray ran through the rubble with his rifle gripped tight. His boots crunched glass, his lungs burned from smoke, but he did not stop. Somewhere ahead, civilians were trapped. He could hear their cries under the collapsing walls. He had one job: save whoever he could, even if it killed him. But Elias was not alone. From the corner of his eye, he saw movement. A shadow leaped from a broken tower, landing in front of him. It was not human. At first, he raised his rifle, finger twitching on the trigger, ready to fire. But then he froze. She stood there, framed by firelight. Long golden hair blew wild in the smoke, wolf-like ears rising from her head, sharp eyes glowing amber. A tail flicked behind her, swaying like fire itself. She wore black armor tight against her figure, with claws gleaming under the light of destruction. She looked like a warrior ripped straight out of a legend, half fox, half woman. For one heartbeat, Elias thought she was an enemy. She looked too alien, too dangerous. But then she did something strange. She grabbed his arm and yanked him back just as a burning steel beam came crashing down where he had been standing. "Do you want to die?" she snapped, her voice sharp, fierce, but not cruel. Elias blinked. His training told him to pull away, to aim, to shoot. But his instincts whispered something else. She had just saved his life. Before he could speak, another explosion shook the street. Screams echoed from the rubble ahead. The civilians. Elias pushed forward, but the fox girl kept pace with him. Fast, too fast. She moved like lightning, her claws slicing fallen debris apart, her body weaving through fire and dust as if the battlefield belonged to her. Together, they reached the collapsed shelter. A group of humans, children, women, elders, were trapped behind fallen concrete. Elias dropped his rifle and began pulling at the heavy slabs. His muscles strained, his skin burned. The fox girl stepped beside him. With a growl, she dug her claws into the stone and lifted it as if it were paper. Elias stared in shock. What are you?" She did not answer. She only looked at him, eyes flashing, then bent to free the children. The rescue was chaos. The building groaned above them, ready to collapse. Dust choked the air. Elias grabbed one child, pulling him free. The fox girl grabbed another, carrying him effortlessly in her arms. Together, they pulled person after person out of the wreckage. For the first time since the war began, Elias felt hope. Maybe, just maybe, humanity wasn't fighting alone. But then it happened. As Elias bent low to drag a wounded man from under the rubble, he felt a sudden sting on his shoulder. Sharp. Hot. He cried out, turning his head, only to see the fox girl's mouth close on his skin. She had bitten him. "What the hell are you doing?" Elias shouted. "You bit me in the middle of the rescue." Her lips curled into something between a smile and a snarl. Her eyes burned brighter than fire. "Because you looked hot," she said. Elias froze. In the middle of fire, war, and destruction, those words made no sense. Yet something about the way she said them, serious, honest, without shame, made his heart race harder than the battlefield around him. He did not have time to argue. Another blast ripped through the street, and the fox girl grabbed his hand, pulling him into cover. Her grip was strong, unshakable, as if she had decided he was hers now. Elias tried to speak, but all that came out was a ragged breath. She bit him. She saved him. She fought beside him. Who was she? Enemy? Ally? Something else? The sky burned and the war roared on, but Elias knew one thing. His life had just changed forever. And the fox girl, she was not leaving his side. Smoke filled the air, curling around the broken towers like ghosts of the dead. The city was no longer alive. It was a graveyard of steel and fire. Yet in the middle of this chaos, Captain Elias Gray found himself staring at the alien fox girl who had just bitten him. Her golden eyes glowed in the firelight. She didn't look embarrassed, didn't look afraid. She stood tall, calm, like she had done exactly what she meant to do. Elias pressed his hand against his shoulder where her teeth had sunk in. The skin was already warm, burning as if something more than pain lingered there. "You're insane," he muttered, breathless. "You bit me in the middle of a rescue. Why? Why would you do that?" The fox girl tilted her head, strands of golden hair falling across her face. Her tail flicked behind her as she answered in that strange, low voice. "Because now you are marked." Elias's heart stumbled in his chest. Marked? What does that mean? Before she could answer, another alien ship screamed overhead. Its shadow swept across the ruins, shaking the ground. A blast tore open the street where the survivors were gathered. Civilians screamed. No more time for questions. Elias ran forward, barking orders, pulling people into cover. The fox girl moved beside him again, fast, deadly, unstoppable. With one swipe of her claws, she cut through falling debris. With one leap, she pulled a boy from the fire, carrying him like he weighed nothing. But Elias couldn't ignore it. The way her eyes kept flicking back to him. The way she fought not just for the humans, but as if protecting him was her true mission. They pushed deeper into the ruins, guiding the survivors toward a broken subway tunnel. The underground was the only safe place left. Explosions shook the earth as the alien fleet hammered the surface. Inside the tunnel it was dark and damp, smelling of rust and smoke. Dozens of survivors huddled in the shadows, their faces pale with fear. Some stared at Elias with hope. Others stared at the fox girl with wide, terrified eyes. Elias raised his hand. "She's with me," he said firmly. "She saved us. She's not the enemy." Murmurs spread among the people. Some believed him, some did not. But no one dared argue while the war raged above. When the survivors settled, Elias finally turned back to her. He kept his voice low, sharp. "Tell me what you mean by marked. What did you do to me?" The fox girl stepped closer, so close he could feel the heat radiating off her. Her golden eyes locked onto his. "Your kind calls it instinct," she said softly. "Mine calls it bond. When I bit you, I made you mine. And now, no matter where you run, I will find you. No matter who hunts you, I will fight for you." Elias felt the tunnel walls close in. Bond. The word was heavy, dangerous. He wasn't sure if it meant protection or chains. "I don't need a bond," he growled. "I need soldiers. I need weapons. I need to win this war." The fox girl tilted her head again, her ears twitching at the distant rumble above. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I am your weapon." Before Elias could reply, a scream cut through the tunnel. One of the survivors, a young woman, pointed at the far end. Shapes moved in the darkness. Alien drones, mechanical, spider-like creatures crawling through the shadows. Their eyes glowed red as they skittered closer, their metal legs clicking on the ground. The survivors panicked. Children cried. People stumbled back. Elias raised his rifle, ready to fire. But before he could pull the trigger, the fox girl leapt forward with a snarl. What followed was a storm of speed and fury. She tore through the first drone with her claws, sparks flying. She spun, her tail whipping, and sliced another in half. Her movements were too fast for the human eye to follow. Every strike precise, every leap lethal. Elias fired beside her, covering her flanks, but he knew the truth. She was doing the impossible. She was fighting like a force of nature. Something Earth had never seen before. When the last drone hit the ground, broken and smoking, the tunnel fell silent. Survivors stared in awe, some too afraid to breathe. The fox girl stood over the wreckage, her chest rising and falling, her hair wild from battle. She turned to Elias, her lips curling into that strange, almost smile again. "Do you see now?" she asked. "I bite, I bond, I protect. You are mine, and I am yours." Elias's hands tightened around his rifle. He wanted to argue, to deny it, but the heat still burned in his shoulder, the mark she left on him pulsing like fire in his blood. And somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered that she was right. The war outside was just beginning, but inside this tunnel, another war had already started, between his duty as a soldier and the strange, fierce bond he could not escape. The tunnel was silent after the battle. The smell of smoke and burning metal clung to the air. Survivors huddled together, whispering, their eyes darting between the broken drones and the golden-haired fox girl who had destroyed them. Captain Elias Gray stood in the middle, his rifle still warm in his hands. His heart thundered in his chest. He should have felt relief. The civilians were safe, the drones destroyed. But instead a new weight pressed on him. Every pair of human eyes in the tunnel had turned on her. "She's one of them." A man spat, his voice shaking with rage. "Look at her ears, her claws. She's no different from the monsters killing us." Another survivor shouted, "She's dangerous. She marked him. I saw it. She bit our captain. Who knows what she's done to him?" Fear spread through the group like fire. Mothers pulled children away. Old men muttered prayers. Some even picked up broken pipes and stones, as if ready to fight the very being who had just saved their lives. Elias raised his hand, trying to calm them. "Stop. She saved you. Without her, those drones would have slaughtered everyone here. She's not the enemy." But his words fell into the noise of fear. The fox girl stood still, her amber eyes glowing softly in the dark. She did not flinch. When insults were thrown, did not strike back when someone spat near her feet. She simply looked at Elias, quiet, waiting. Elias's throat tightened. Why wasn't she defending herself? Why wasn't she explaining who she was? Then the truth hit him. She didn't care what they thought. She only cared about him. "Captain." One of his own soldiers stepped forward from the crowd, rifle trembling, in his hands. "You can't trust her. She's manipulating you. Maybe she saved us only to trap us later. Maybe she's a spy." The betrayal stung worse than the smoke in Elias's lungs. These were his men, his people, and yet they were turning against the one who had fought beside them. The soldier's rifle lifted, pointed at the fox girl's chest. For the first time, she moved, slowly, calmly. Her tail swayed behind her as her gaze locked on the trembling weapon. And then softly, almost gently, she spoke. "If killing me makes them feel safe," she said, "let them try." The words cut through Elias like a blade. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't pleading. She was ready to die here if it meant easing their fear. But Elias couldn't let it happen. "Lower your weapon," he barked. His voice echoed through the tunnel, sharp and commanding. "That's an order." The soldier hesitated. The crowd held its breath. The fox girl's eyes flicked to Elias again, studying him as if weighing his soul. Finally, the soldier lowered his rifle, but the damage was done. The survivor's trust was broken. Whispers rose in the dark. Monster, spy, traitor. Elias rubbed his shoulder where she had bitten him. The burning mark throbbed hot under his skin. He didn't understand what it meant, not yet. But he knew this. If they turned against her, they turned against him too. "Listen to me," Elias said, his voice lower now, but steady. "I don't know why she's here. I don't know why she fights for us, but I've seen what she can do, and I know this. If she wanted us dead, none of us would still be standing. You want to survive this war? We need her." The survivors did not cheer, they did not thank her. They simply turned away, clinging to one another, their fear still heavy in the air. When the noise died down, Elias walked toward her. His boots echoed in the silence. She waited for him, her face unreadable, her golden hair falling in waves over her armor. "Why didn't you fight back?" he asked quietly. Her amber eyes met his. Because they are yours, she said simply. And if they are yours, they are mine. I will not harm them. Elias swallowed hard. Her loyalty was terrifying, fierce, absolute. But before he could answer, the ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling as another bombardment struck the city above. The tunnel groaned, ready to collapse. Panic spread again. The fox girl's ears twitched, catching sounds Elias could not hear. She grabbed his wrist, her claws brushing his skin. "They've found us," she whispered. "The enemy is coming." And in that moment, Elias understood the cruel twist of fate. The humans behind him did not trust her. They were ready to betray her at the first chance. But the enemy above wanted her dead as much as they wanted humans destroyed. She stood between two worlds, hated by both. And yet, she chose to fight for him. Elias tightened his grip on his rifle. If betrayal was coming, if the world was against her, then maybe he would be the one to stand by her side. The war outside was brutal, but the war inside this tunnel, between fear, loyalty, and trust, was only just beginning. The ground split open as the tunnel shook again. Screams echoed. Dust rained from above. Somewhere far above them, alien war machines pounded the city with endless fire. But Elias knew the bombardment wasn't random. They had been found. The fox girl's ears twitched sharply. She stepped closer, to Elias, her golden hair brushing his shoulder. "They're coming," she whispered. "Not machines this time. Hunters." Elias froze. Hunters. He had seen enough battles to know what that meant. Elite killers, trained not to destroy cities, but to track, capture, and eliminate targets with brutal precision. The survivors huddled together in terror. Mothers clutched, children. Men gripped rusted pipes, their hands shaking. Some stared at Elias for orders, others at the fox girl as if she were the reason the hunters were here. One man shouted, "This is her fault. They're chasing her, not us." The words hit like a spark on dry wood. Murmurs spread fast. People glared at her with hate. Elias raised his hand, trying to calm them. "Listen to me." But it was too late. The tunnel ceiling split with a deafening crack. From the hole above, shadows dropped into the darkness. They landed with heavy thuds. Tall, armored figures, their helmets glowing with red symbols. Their weapons hummed with alien energy. "Hunters," the crowd screamed. The hunters moved fast, aiming their weapons at the survivors. Elias fired first. His rifle roared, bullets sparking against alien armor. "Move!" he shouted. "Get the civilians to cover!" The fox girl leapt past him, a blur of speed and claws. She tore into the nearest hunter, ripping his weapon away before he could fire. Sparks flew as her claws cut through steel, and the alien collapsed with a scream. But more came. 5, 6, 7 hunters surrounded them. The tunnel became chaos. Gunfire, screams, smoke, blood. Survivors scrambled, tripping over one another, desperate to escape. Elias fought like a soldier, his shots precise, his orders sharp. But even he knew they were outnumbered. The hunters moved like shadows, their armor too strong, their weapons too deadly. And then it happened. One of the hunters seized a boy from the crowd, lifting him by the throat. The child screamed, kicking helplessly. The hunter raised his blade, ready to cut him down. "No!" Elias shouted, aiming. But before he could fire, the fox girl was there. She slammed into the hunter, claws flashing, teeth bared. The boy fell free, scrambling to safety. But the hunter's blade cut deep into her side. She stumbled, blood staining her armor. For the first time, Elias saw her falter. The crowd gasped. And then came the betrayal. "She's wounded," someone shouted. "Leave her. If we hand her over, maybe they'll spare us." Another voice joined in, desperate, cruel. "She's the reason we're hunted. Give her to them." Elias's heart clenched. He saw the fear in their eyes. They weren't just panicking. They were ready to sacrifice her. The fox girl staggered, her golden eyes dimming, her body bleeding. Yet she still raised her claws, still stood between the hunters and the humans who despised her. Elias knew the truth. She would fight to the last breath. For him, for them, whether they accepted her or not. But then a soldier, one of Elias's own men, did the unthinkable. He turned his rifle, not at the hunters, but at her. "Captain," the soldier shouted, over the gunfire, his voice breaking. "We can't win like this. If we hand her over, maybe they'll stop. Order it." Elias froze. The moment stretched, heavy, unbearable. Around him, civilians screamed. Hunters closed in. The fox girl stood bleeding, swaying on her feet, yet still looking at him with those glowing amber eyes. Not afraid, not begging, only waiting. The bond, the bite. The fire in his shoulder burned hot, as if demanding his answer. And in that instant, Elias made his choice. He spun, leveling his rifle, not at her but at his own soldier. His voice thundered through the chaos. "Any man who raises a weapon against her, raises it against me." The tunnel froze. Even the hunters seemed to hesitate at the fury in his words. The fox girl's eyes widened slightly. For the first time her lips curled, not in a snarl but in a small, quiet smile. Elias turned back to the hunters, rage burning in his veins. "She's with me," he growled. "And if you want her, you'll have to kill me first." The hunters answered with a roar, charging. The tunnel exploded into fire and steel. Elias fought like never before, side by side with her. Blood and sparks filled the air, every moment a heartbeat from death. But for the first time, Elias wasn't fighting, only as a captain or even as a human soldier. He was fighting as her bond. The battle raged like hell itself had opened inside the tunnel. Sparks lit the air, gunfire echoed, and alien hunters moved like shadows, their blades cutting through the smoke. Elias fought with everything he had, every bullet fired with precision, every strike fueled by fury. Beside him, the fox girl was a storm. Her claws gleamed with blood and fire, her golden hair wild as she ripped through armored foes. Yet Elias could see it. She was slowing. Her side still bled from the wound, and every movement cost her more strength. The hunters noticed too. One stepped forward, larger than the rest, its armor thick and marked with crimson. A leader. Its weapon hummed with deadly energy as it fixed, its glowing eyes on the fox girl. Elias raised his rifle, but the leader moved faster. The blade slashed across her chest, sending her crashing into the rubble. Her body hit the ground hard, blood spilling across the broken concrete. "No!" Elias roared. The fox girl tried to rise, her claws digging into the ground, but her legs trembled. She collapsed again, her breathing ragged, her golden eyes dim. The leader raised its weapon to finish her. Elias didn't think, he moved. He threw, himself between them, his rifle blazing, his body shielding hers. Bullets tore into the leader's armor, sparks flying, until the alien finally fell with a heavy crash. The tunnel went still for a moment. Survivors stared, wide-eyed, as Elias dropped to his knees beside her. "Stay with me," he said, his voice raw. His hands pressed against her wound, blood soaking his fingers. "Don't you dare die here." Her lips curved faintly, even as blood stained them. "Why? Do you care?" she whispered. "They hate me. They want me gone. Even your soldier pointed his gun at me." "Because I don't," Elias shot back. "You saved me. You saved all of us. You think I'd let you die for people who don't understand?" "Never." Her golden eyes flickered, glowing weakly. She reached up, her clawed hand trembling, and touched his cheek. "I told you, when I bit you, I made you mine," she whispered. "But what I didn't tell you is that you made me yours too." Elias's chest tightened. Around them, the battle still raged, hunters still fought. But in that moment, the world seemed to vanish. Only her voice, broken and soft, mattered. "I was born to fight alone," she continued. "My kind, we don't bond, we don't trust. But when I saw you, when I pulled you from the fire, I knew I couldn't let you go, even if it killed me." Her voice cracked. Her hand slipped, falling from his face. "Stop talking," Elias said quickly. panic cutting through his anger. "Save your strength. You're not dying here. Not while I'm still breathing." He pulled her closer, his arm wrapping around her trembling body. She was warm, too warm, her blood soaking into him. Another hunter charged, roaring, weapon raised. Elias lifted his rifle with one hand, firing until the alien dropped. His other hand never let go of her. The survivors watched in silence now. The same people who had cursed her, who had called her a monster, stared as Elias fought like a man possessed, his fury burning brighter than the fires outside. And slowly, something shifted in their eyes. Not all but some. They saw the truth. The monster they feared had bled for them. The alien they wanted to abandon had chosen to protect their captain at any cost. The fox girl coughed, blood on her lips. "If I die," she whispered. "Promise me you'll live. Promise me you'll fight." Elias shook his head, his grip tightening. "No. If you go, I go. We fight together or not at all." Her eyes widened faintly, her breath catching. And for the first time since he met her, Elias saw something he never expected. Tears. They glimmered in her golden eyes before sliding down her blood-stained face. "You're a fool," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But you're mine." Elias leaned close, his forehead touching hers. His voice was low, fierce, unshakable. "And you're mine." The bond burned in his shoulder, hot, alive, stronger than before. It wasn't just instinct. It wasn't just survival. It was something deeper, and in that moment, Elias knew. He wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. He was fighting for her. Above them, the tunnel shook again, the roof cracking, dust pouring down. The battle wasn't over. The hunters were regrouping, ready to strike again. Elias rose, pulling her with him. She could barely stand, her weight heavy against him, but her claws still flexed, her eyes still glowed faintly. He raised his rifle, his voice echoing through the tunnel. "They want her? They'll have to go through me first." And this time, when the survivors looked at him, some didn't turn away. Some lifted their own weapons, stepping forward, ready to stand beside him. But the cost was already written in blood. The tunnel roared like a beast as explosions shook the walls. Cracks split the ceiling. Dust poured down, and the red glow of the hunter's eyes grew brighter in the smoke. They were coming again. Captain Elias Gray stood tall, rifle in hand, the fox girl leaning against him. Blood still dripped from her wound, but her golden eyes had not gone out. They burned faintly, stubbornly, like embers refusing to die. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They want me alive. They want you dead." "Then we make them regret coming here," Elias growled. Around them, survivors clutched their makeshift weapons. Fear still gripped their faces, but now something else flickered there too. Courage. They had seen the fox girl bleed for them. They had seen their captain choose her. The hunters stormed into the tunnel, armored giants with glowing blades and humming guns. Their leader's roar echoed through the dark, shaking the ground. Elias stepped forward, raising his rifle. The survivors stood behind him. The fox girl pushed herself to her feet, swaying but unyielding. The battle began. Gunfire thundered. Sparks lit the air. Hunters surged forward, blades cutting through steel and stone. Elias fired without pause, his bullets tearing into armor. When his rifle clicked empty, he swung it like a club, smashing into an alien's helmet. The fox girl was fury itself. Even wounded, she leapt into the fray, her claws tearing through enemy ranks. Blood splashed across her face, her tail whipping as she spun and struck. Every movement was pain, but she fought as if death itself could not claim her. The survivors joined. Pipes cracked against helmets. Stones flew. Desperate hands grabbed alien weapons. For the first time, humans and the fox girl fought together, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as one. Yet the hunters were too many. Bodies littered the ground. Screams filled the air. Elias's vision blurred from smoke and exhaustion. Still, he refused to fall. Then the tunnel shook again. The hunter's leader stepped through the smoke, massive, armored, carrying a weapon that glowed like fire. Its voice was a hiss of rage. The traitor fox, the bonded human, both will die here. The fox girl staggered, her claws shaking, her golden eyes narrowing. You will not touch him, she snarled. Elias met it head on. His rifle clashed against its blade, sparks exploding. He shoved with all his strength, but the alien was too strong, forcing him back step by step. The fox girl leapt, slamming into the leader's side. Her claws ripped across its armor, sparks flying, but the alien backhanded her, sending her crashing into the rubble. She cried out, blood spraying. No, Elias roared, rage surging through him. He threw himself at the leader, fists slamming against armor, blade cutting into his side. The alien struck back, knocking him to the ground, weapon raised for the final blow. And then, the fox girl rose again, broken, bleeding, but still alive. She stumbled forward, her body shaking, her voice raw with fury. He is mine, she snarled, and I am his. She hurled herself at the leader with the last of her strength. Claws sank deep, fangs tore into its throat. The alien roared, thrashing, trying to shake her off, but she held on, every muscle straining, every breath burning. Elias seized the moment. He grabbed the alien's fallen blade, drove it deep into the leader's chest and twisted. The roar cut off. The leader collapsed, crashing to the ground, dead. Silence filled the tunnel. The remaining hunters froze. Without their leader, their formation broke. Survivors struck, Elias fired, and the fox girl tore through the last of them. One by one, they fell. When the last body hit the floor, the tunnel was quiet again. Bodies littered the ground, smoke curled through the air. Survivors stood shaking, bloodied but alive. Elias dropped the blade, his chest heaving. He turned to her. The fox girl swayed, blood soaking her armor. Her golden eyes flickered weakly. See, she whispered. Told you. I bite, I bond, I protect. Her legs gave out. She collapsed into his arms. Stay with me, Elias begged, his voice breaking. Don't you dare leave now. She smiled faintly, her lips trembling. If I die, you'll still carry me. I'm in you now. No, Elias said fiercely. You're not dying, not here, not now, not ever. He pressed his forehead against hers, holding her close as if his strength alone could keep her alive. The bond in his shoulder burned hotter than ever, fire spreading through his veins. The survivors watched in silence. Some cried, some bowed their heads, and for the first time, none of them called her a monster. Outside, the bombardment slowed. The hunters were gone. The city still burned, but for now the war had paused. Elias stood carrying her in his arms. She was broken, but alive. He looked at the survivors. His voice was steady, commanding. We fight on, he said. Not as humans alone, not as strangers. The survivors nodded, their eyes fixed not just on him, but on the fox girl in his arms, the one they had feared, the one they now owed their lives to. And as Elias carried her toward the light of the broken city, he knew one thing. This was no longer just humanity's war. It was theirs.